The attorneys general of Maryland and Washington, D.C., they are apparently going to be filing a lawsuit against President Trump, alleging that foreign payments to his businesses violate the Constitution. Here to talk about it, Byron Henry, attorney and constitutional scholar, with us on Trending Today USA. Mr. Henry, thank you for your time.
Glad to be with you, Ernie.
Now, I've heard people bring up the emoluments clause before. They say that the president, whomever it is, must put their businesses in a trust, a blind trust that he has no control of, and apparently President Trump has not done that yet. Is that a problem?
Well, there's no statute or law that requires the President of the United States to divest himself of any of businesses or any other money-making endeavors that he may be involved in when he becomes president. This emoluments clause issue is basically based on two provisions of the Constitution. One, prohibiting presidents from receiving gifts or titles of nobility and whatnot, or offices from foreign leaders or foreign governments, and the other prohibiting presidents from accepting anything other from the federal or state government other than his salary. So it's a bit of a stretch to say that regular business expenses, such as someone staying in a hotel or playing golf at a resort, is a gift or an office or whatnot. But the lawsuit alleges that any indirect benefit, any benefit whatsoever that a president obtains that may have come from a foreign government violates the emoluments clause. So that's the basis of the lawsuit. So the first hurdle is going to be whether or not states even have the standing or ability to bring this lawsuit against the president, or if this is an area just for Congress. And then we'll have to get into whether or not presidents are allowed to basically have businesses while they're president.
I've heard the accusation made that, we'll be sure we book our convention in your hotel, or we'll be sure and we'll do business with your company from a foreign government as maybe an indirect influence. A great example of that is that when our former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was in office, that suddenly all of these donations were going to the Clinton Foundation. And then when she got out of office and lost the election, suddenly no money's coming in.
Certainly, and the issue for the President of the United States is even more thorny because it's the actual President of the United States, and there's no statutes or executive branch rules regarding, making money on books and whatnot. I mean, what would be the issue if a president decided to write a book while he was in office? And, if foreign governments bought the book, or if the Chinese government bought 1 million copies of the book, would that be unconstitutional? Based on what I'm reading from the lawsuit, it sounds to me like any payments that ever make their way into the president's pocket that could have ever began with a foreign government or foreign individuals might end up running afoul of the emoluments clause. And I'm just not sure that courts are willing to take that broad a view of it. Because, one side, as the government has said in their response brief, is, if a businessman can be president, so to speak, then the emoluments clause can't be that broad. Otherwise, it would basically bar anyone that has any business interest from serving as president of the United States, which doesn't seem like what the founders intended whenever that clause was drafted.
Why do you think President Trump didn't put his businesses in blind trust, as traditionally has been done?
I think it's a couple things. I think personality-wise, President Trump has always been in charge. He's an executive-type personality, and he likes to know what's going on with things that bear his name. So if he wasn't going to divest himself of his interest, meaning basically get out of his business in order to serve as president, I think the blind trust was not for him. Secondly, I think it's President Trump is a non-traditional candidate, non-traditional president, and he has defied political norms in a lot of areas. Some would say broken the law, but just at a bare minimum, he's defied political norms, and that endears him to a lot of his supporters who voted for him on that basis that he needed to shake up Washington, D.C. And I just think he does not believe that he has to follow these unwritten rules of the Washington establishment, and in some cases he thumps his nose at him, and that may be exactly what he's doing here. That's going to draw a lawsuit, whether or not he suffers politically or in some way legally as a result of the lawsuit.
It seems like every new issue that comes up, it really comes down to if you don't like President Trump, you're going to be all for bringing that issue up. If you do like President Trump, you don't care. It just doesn't have any relevance to your life.
Well, I mean, there are some objective issues with President Trump with respect to political norms in Washington, D.C., that his supporters have to understand that if he's going to defy political norms, even if it's not illegal, and shake up Washington, well, that shaking up has consequences, which includes political damage from investigations, roiling the feathers of career officers and career public servants in Washington that end up either leaking information or putting out damaging stories against you. And like I say, these investigations and lawsuits, there are going to be consequences for putting a candidate in Washington that has decided to shake things up and defy political norms. So his supporters shouldn't be surprised. This is all part and parcel of the type of candidate that was elected. And I do agree, though, that a lot of these lawsuits and investigations seem to be wheels spinning just for the sake of people that don't like President Trump and don't like the idea that he's president of the United States. And I suspect most of those will wear off before the midterm election.
Do you think this lawsuit has any chance of success with your psychic hat on now?
I can't imagine, and I'm gonna take a view anti-Trump just for purposes of this analysis. But assuming they're right, what could a court do? They can't enjoin President Trump from being president. I can't imagine a federal court has the authority to order the president of the United States to divest himself of businesses. There's no law requiring him to put it into a blind trust. So I just don't know what remedy the court could fashion, even if they're right. Now, I may learn a little bit more as things unfold, but I just don't see, other than the political damage and the discovery of maybe we learn about Trump's businesses more, maybe we see his tax returns, but I don't see ultimately this playing any role in President Trump owning businesses or acting as president, because I don't think a federal court is going to step out in this case and order any type of relief that would be of any consequence against the president of the United States.
Byron Henry, attorney and constitutional scholar. You'll find him online at solidcounsel.com. Byron, thank you so much for coming on Trending Today USA.